Hi guys, my name is Corme, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about Wellspring. So in this video we're going to go over two main things. The first thing is how to get the most healing out of a single cast of Wellspring, and the second is how I like to pair Wellspring and Cloudburst together. If you've never seen me before, I'm in a Resto Shaman for a guild called Pop-Tart Corn Dog. We're a US guild and we've been hovering around US 32nd for the past two tiers. The first thing I want to get into is Wellspring itself and show you guys a little bit about the spell and how it works. Okay, so if we look at the talent Wellspring, which is in the last row, it creates a surge of water that flows forward, healing friendly targets in a wide arc for 3,703. This is based on your spell power, so for me, when I'm fully buffed in raid, it's probably closer to around 4,000. So what the tooltip should say is up to 6 people, so it'll heal that amount up to 6 people, and then after that, because it's a smart heal, it'll basically just split. So like it's usually around like 4,000, so 4,000 times 6 is like 24,000, and so then if we split 24,000 between like 20 people, then it's 2,000 something, whatever. Anyways, the idea is it doesn't actually hit every single person for this amount. It does it up to 6 people, and then whatever that amount is, it gets split between how many people are injured. It is a smart heal. So I'm going to show you guys how this works in a clip from this week on the third to last boss on Heroic that we did. Okay, so this is on Fate Scribe Rokalo. We're about to go into the intermission, and then we're going to take some unexpected damage here. I think like a cast gets off or something. And so you're just going to see me back up, and then I cast a Wellspring right there. Let me back up a bit more when I cast it. So when you cast Wellspring, hits the whole raid. You can see it hits everyone for around like 1,500 when it goes off. And then if we look at the logs for this, it does about 33,000 total healing, which is about what we would expect for like my gear. I'm mostly still in full Castle Nathria gear. I haven't had any upgrades at this point. I usually expect somewhere between like 27,000 and 35,000 healing, depending on like the buffs I have, spell variants, crits, all that kind of stuff. So the next clip that I'm going to show you guys, I actually do pretty much like quadruple this healing. Okay, so in this clip, it's also from the same fight. Go back to the beginning. Also from the same fight, so the tank has this debuff. If you've done Zymox and Castle Nathria, it works the exact same way. The tank gets a debuff, they have to run out with it, and how much damage it does to the raid is based on how far they are. The farther away they are, the less damage it does. Anyways, it's just really predictable raid-wide damage. So as you see, most everyone right now is topped. That's one of the keys to making this work, is that most everyone needs to be topped. So I'm going to start casting Wellspring here in a second. As you can see, it's about to go off, and there's only a few people that are taking damage right now. And also, most importantly, what's going to happen is the Wellspring is going to go off before the tank debuff detonates. So you're going to see I finished the cast. You can't see the reticle of the Wellspring moving yet, but it's going to be, it's already moving or going through the air before the raid takes damage. And because this happens, when it hits everyone, you're going to see it hits 10,000, 9,000. Those are crits. A non-crit is 5,000. And it's hitting everyone that it hits for that amount. So it's kind of a weird feature, what we'll call it a feature, of Wellspring, where if you cast it on the raid while pretty much everyone is topped, or I think it has to be like less than 6 people, is topped, then it'll do like the full healing amount to absolutely everyone it hits. So right now we're in a 25-man raid, and everyone it hit, I think it hit everyone except our tank who's over there. It hit for the full amount, which was 5,000 if it didn't crit, around 10,000 if it did. So let's look at the logs for this. As you can see, it does 120,000 healing for one Wellspring cast. So this is 120,000 healing. We pre-casted on the raid before the damage went out. We were far enough away so that by the time it hit everyone, they were taking damage. And if we look at before, it only did 33,000. That's 4 times as much healing, basically. So the keys to this are that you need to precast it. It needs to leave your body before the damage goes out, and then when it hits the people, and they need to have taken damage by then. And for the most part, everyone needs to be topped. This is really easy to do if you, one, know the timings of the fight and the damage is really predictable, like it was here with the debuff. And it's also pretty easy to do if you have a lot of room, so you get a lot more like wiggle room on when you cast it, so that it has time to travel and it has time for the damage to come out. Okay, so in this clip, I'm a lot closer to the group than I was in the previous clip. I just want to show you guys that even if you're like really close to everyone, you can still do this pretty effectively. So this is on Painsmith. Sorry if you can hear my cat meowing in the background. Painsmith, so he does something called a reverberating hammer. Again, it's something that targets a tank. It's a really predictable group-wide AoE. Just let me back up a tiny bit. I'm going to cast Wellspring, and you can see he's about to finish the cast, and then it's going to hit the tank. You can see the first person it hits right here, which is our Warlock, it only does 1,000 healing. So that was before the damage came out, and then you saw everywhere after that, because this is when the damage came out, when the Wellspring happened. It's hitting everyone for 5,000, 10,000. This person got 11,000 because they probably got really low health, so I got really good mastery value on it. You're going to see it's going to finish hitting everyone for basically that amount, depending on whether it crit or not. And then we can look at the log for this one. And this one did 131,000 healing, which is also, like, it's a lot. So being able to do this, again, depends on you being able to see predictable damage on your raid, mostly being top. This isn't super great on a lot of fights. There's like on Painsmith right there that I showed you in Rokolo are definitely 2 fights where you're gonna be able to do that in this raid. There's other fights though, like Remnant and Ner'zhul, where I don't think it'll be good. Like KT, it'll be kind of okay for when the glacial spikes come out, but that's not where like the bulk of the damage is. It's still like good to do though, but like on that first tick, not everyone's gonna get as low, so it maybe won't do as much healing as what you see in these 2 examples. Also keep in mind that these are heroics. This is a 25-man raid. Normal Wellspring, if you don't snipe it like I'm doing here, it won't scale with how many people it's hitting unless it's hitting less than 6. But because of how this feature works, it does kind of scale a little bit with how big the raid is. Okay. So the next thing I want to show you guys or talk to you guys about is pairing Wellspring with Cloudburst. Okay, so ideally you always want to pair your Wellspring with the Cloudburst because it's a lot of healing. It makes you have a big Cloudburst, big numbers, woohoo. And the normal way to do this would be to put down a Cloudburst and then cast your Wellspring, but I'm going to show you guys that you guys can cast a Wellspring, then put down your Cloudburst and still have the Cloudburst capture most of your Wellspring healing. And why you would want to do that. Okay, so this is again tank debuff, going out, detonating, casting Wellspring. Right after I put the Wellspring down, after I cast the Wellspring, I put a Cloudburst down. You see all the healing that it did. Okay, so here's the thing. So when you cast your Wellspring, if you put down the Cloudburst, it'll capture most of the healing. And what that means is it'll capture everything after where your Cloudburst went down. And I found this is somewhere between 2 and 3 yards. So the healing it did to me, it didn't capture. The healing it does to my hunter right here, it didn't capture. And this is like our Resto Druid. It probably captured the healing to the Resto Druid, but I'm not completely sure. And then all of that healing back here, it did capture. So the reason you would want to cast Wellspring and Cloudburst is because you want an extra global in Cloudburst and /orb because it makes your timings better. So in this case, it makes my timings better because this fight, there isn't a lot of damage that goes out. And so the next instance after the tank debuff where we take damage again is about 14 seconds away. So if I use the global to put down Cloudburst and then precast my Wellspring, the Cloudburst will usually detonate before we take any damage. So I'll show you guys that. Let's play again, we're going. So yeah, we just took damage for the tank debuff. So when this ad gets in, it'll start putting out a debuff. And so this is about when we first start taking like any instances of damage. So if I had put down the Cloudburst and then casted the Wellspring, if I had done it perfectly, absolutely perfectly, the Cloudburst would detonate right now. If I had like got my Wellspring within like 0.1 second of like that pre-detonation. But that's pretty hard for a human to do, and most likely it would have gone off right before this damage came out. It's much more consistent for me, and you don't lose a lot of healing because I only lost 2 Wellspring hits, and again, it was the 2 Wellspring hits on before the damage went out, so like each of those hits was only like 1,000 healing, so it was like 2,000 healing, which in Cloudburst healing is like 600. And then instead, I always make sure that I'm going to get full value on this Cloudburst because we're taking damage when my Cloudburst goes out every time now. And I don't have to like play games with it. So it working out this way just depends on the timings of the fight. For this fight in particular, it works really well for me to cast Wellspring before I put down my Cloudburst, and not as well for me to put Cloudburst down and then Wellspring. I use this a bit on like Sludge Fist and Sire Denathrius. You don't have to do it. It's not always the best thing to do, but there are some instances where you can use it, and so I wanted to talk to you guys about that. Yeah, that's basically everything I had to tell you guys about Wellspring for today. I hope you all learned something. I normally stream at twitch.tv/gourmet if you want to come in there and ask me any questions, and I'll also try to answer any questions that you leave in the comments below. Thank you so much.